Hey everyone, welcome to Alviso. This is the Tuesday midday ride as made famous by NorCal Cyclist. He was not here this week, but we still had a pretty solid crew. This is early in the race. We're going to see the first move of the day going on the left-hand side here. Move just got brought back, and you see the counter. It's pretty sneaky on the left side there. Pause it for you. You can see him just going up the road in the black jersey. He's going to end up dangling by himself. But this really set up the dynamic for the first part of the race because he had a teammate in the group right here, the guy in the California jersey right in front of me. And they did a great job. They'll do a great job countering over each other later, but you can see once his teammate goes away, he does a good job of sitting up near the front and just getting in the way of the chase. And so it's left up to everybody else. There's not really nobody else has a teammate, I don't think, besides those two. So it's all just ones and twos. And there's a few of us that keep kind of getting left out on the front here to do the chasing. Everybody else was like kind of content to just sit in behind. So the three of us did most of the work. You'll see on one of these poles, I wanted to drop back and save a little bit of energy, kind of size up the group. And you'll see everybody does still come close down that gap. So his teammate was like trying to leave a gap for me to come into, but he ended up having to close it because I didn't want to come back into that one. I wanted to slot back a little bit. And so later, after we'd been managing this gap for a little bit, I was going to try and bridge these corners. I had said something to Donald in the pink, and before we got the chance to, somebody else decides to light it up on the front here, which I was okay with that. They're initiating. I figured I could then put in a big effort over them. This is a really good place to do a bridge. It's the most technical part of the course, with all these corners right in a row, and the constant changing direction can also change the wind from being, head to cross, back to head, back to cross. So it's not a bad spot to put in an effort because other people are going to have to put in watts to follow you. There's not really like any super technical corners on this course, so this is like the closest that it gets. So this is, like I mentioned, trying to make a move. Ideally we want to get some separation so that we're not dragging the teammate across, the teammate of the guy off the front across with us, since he's not going to help us. So we're trying to get separation so that we just have guys that want to work, but you'll see when they come through, there's his teammates still. So we haven't made that separation. So we're all kind of looking at each other again. We don't really want to do that huge move just to bring him across because he'll just counter once we get there. So this is jumping ahead. You can just see two guys sending a move through that corner, but the two teammates on Thirsty Bear missed it. So I'm not going to help chase this back. This is on them. And I'm trying to sit myself at the back of the group so that both of those guys are in front of me so I can see what they're doing. I don't want to be caught off guard and have them come around me with a big speed differential because those moves are way harder to get on. He does a little Saturn sit up here trying to get his teammate up the road. That's where you're on your teammate's wheel and you just let it go so other people have to close the gap. And I knew I was in front of him now and I knew he was going to counter. So I was like looking back over my left shoulder here this entire time, and I'm going to see him coming, and you see the power spike up. I get a really good jump on it, and trying to follow. Felt pretty in control, but the timing that we were coming up to these two guys, it was like a little bit awkward. I didn't know if I should commit to going around them, so I laid off the power and took the corner behind them. Maybe if it was a close course, I would have gone around, but since we're out on the roads, didn't want to do that, which helps him get a little bit of a gap through the corner. But I think this section was pretty hard to get away with by yourself at this point. Everybody seemed a little bit tired. We'd been committing a lot of energy, but I guess there's just a couple of us off the front here. The whole group's going to end up coming back together. I'm thinking I slotted in because we maybe had some separation, but that's not going to last. There's a little bit of a crosswind on the home stretch coming off the left side, So that's why I wanted to hang out on that side. I'm going to keep pulling through to help bring this back. And we are coming up to, it's going to be 1 to go when we cross the finish line up here. I think actually I looked back here and realized I had a gap. You'll see the power spike up. And I wasn't trying to have a gap, but I figured I would try to go across by myself. Because going across by myself wasn't a bad thing. I just didn't want to go across with his teammate in tow. And I think once I started to do that move, you'll see the teammate, yeah, he's right there. So let other people help, and we're going to bring him back. And the group is pretty small at this point. This happens pretty regularly at Alviso, where it's not really like a breakaway. It's just kind of like guys get shelled all race until there's maybe like 7 or 8 guys left, which is what we have today. And we're gonna, so now that we have such few guys, it kind of rides like a breakaway at the end of a race. But here's a move. Nobody like committed or like had a move on this last lap that worked really well. So after that move, nobody's gonna pull through, and we're all looking at each other. I wanted to be at the back of the group because I was fully expecting the guys with teammates to be throwing the old 1-2 at us, and that's why I'm staying at the back of the group here. One of them is to my left, and I was waiting to see what he was going to do, to see if I could follow him. And still nobody doing anything yet. I guess everyone's content with a sprint, or maybe just tired at this point. I definitely was pretty tired. Had to make lots of power for the lunch ride. Yeah, so now I think I'm last in the group. I'm gonna take this wheel up a little bit here, but everyone is still just head on a swivel. No one wants to go at this point. This is like, I don't know, a little over a kilometer maybe, and you get to go through the headwind section. It's a hard go alone. I don't think anybody's got fresh enough legs to feel like confident in that move at this point. But there's also not really anyone to lead it out. There's the one set of teammates, and that's it. Otherwise, I don't think anybody's going to lead out this sprint because it's pretty long. This is probably the first time ever you'll see where it felt like the finish line snuck up on me because we're playing so many games in the sprint. But here we go, up near the front. I think this is a pretty decent spot. The 3 guys right in front of me are the 3 guys that I'm like the most concerned with in a finish. And we're all just waiting for somebody else to go. Nobody wants to be the first one here. So still waiting, just waiting. We're going up to the last 2 corners. I think there's going to be 1 move coming into the corners, if I recall. Yeah, there we go. Some action. Everybody is all over that, though. It doesn't get any separation. And we're coming, so that's the last corner. And we're going to come back to it. And there's this moment here where when we were coming back, I was thinking about for a second, like, preserving my momentum and going straight past them. And I think this might have been too early to go, but I think I would have had a better chance at that than the match sprint we end up doing, because we're getting pretty close to the line now, like a couple 100 meters or less, and nobody has started their sprint yet. And finally a guy goes on the left here, and then everybody opens it up. And I've never had the finish line on Alviso sneak up on me. It always feels like it's way further away, but we didn't have much in the way of legs in the sprint. Start to come back as it's finishing, but a solid lunch ride anyways. Thanks for watching, everyone.